Hey everyone, it's me. I wanted to make a video and talk about kennels. And I'm going to talk about, the fact that my fiance and I, we have two dogs, and one is 8. He's so cute, and he's pretty chill. And then we have also a 2-year-old lab, and she was kennel trained, and recently we have a, house cam. So recently I've been letting her out while I run errands and stuff, and she's so sweet, and she's done really well. I've watched her on the cam and come home, and the house is good, and so decided to leave her out for extended periods of time, and then we broke her kennel down, and she didn't really know what to do because it's a fairly large kennel for a 50-pound dog. They need some space. So anyways, finally got her out of her kennel, and that was cool. But I just want to say what happens, even if a dog is kennel trained, this dog in particular, we would say, okay, Luna, go in your kennel. And she would put her head down and walk real slow to the kennel and walk in there. She could have like 500 toys, but she would walk in the kennel, and she was just the saddest thing. She was like downtrodden. How dare you? And this is the meanest thing. And I'm reading my notes. I took notes today, but she was just looked defeated. And so I want to talk about the fact that we as human beings sometimes are put into kennels, and I'll explain further. So I'm going to go back to the situation I was in, and what I should have done prior to signing up for this situation. So when I was in the military, got pregnant, then I was, single mom, met someone else. He seemed to fit the bill. Within a couple of months, we got married, but during the time we knew each other, we had fun. We liked the same music. We hung out and this and that. But being a military thing, we didn't have time off at that time to come home. So I didn't meet his family, and I just went on my own. I don't know what I went on, but anyways, got married. Thought everything was fine, and it ended up I was put into a kennel. And I'm no longer in that situation, so I can say it's probably one of the worst situations outside of my sexual assault. It's one of the worst situations, and because of my assault, I was not able to make clear decisions on being with someone who was healthy and great and awesome and peaceful and kind and treated me with respect, because I didn't have any respect for myself. So ended up getting married, and after we got married, I met his family, and things changed. It's we, like I said, we met in the military. Things happened very quickly. He was normal, kind, people liked him. He was funny, whatever. But after we got married, everything changed. It's a gradual change. People that are abusers are master manipulators. They can put on a face for everyone else around you, but when it comes to you, the person that has entrusted them, they are absolutely terrifying. Because I had been pregnant by someone else and didn't know my daughter's biological father before we married. I was pregnant when we met. We married fairly, everything was quick. So got married. He signed the birth certificate. Right after that, he insisted I did not remain. At that time, I took an honorable get out because of my pregnancy. I had served alongside with a lot of other soldiers, and I was friends with 2 women that I was medics with. He said I'm not allowed to be friends with them because they were not good influences. If I was 5 minutes late, he'd say I was screwing someone else. He didn't want me talking about him to our friends. He would cover our baby up with a blanket because he didn't want anyone looking at her. If I was holding the baby and she was up, I'd stop and say hi to someone else who had a baby. If it was a man, he'd say, you want to sleep with that person, and so on and so forth. It was always accusatory, always controlling. always very scary. He called me every name under the book. Um, the B word, the H word, the C word, everything. It's, regarding money, I would go to the thrift store and I spent like $2 on a lamp, and when he blew up about the lamp. Hit the walls, listened to my phone calls. I remember after our first daughter was born, I took her home. She was like 6 weeks old. She was a little McNugget, and got home, and he had insisted I call him immediately when I get home. But we didn't have cell phones, so I didn't have, I was really busy visiting with family and stuff. And anyways, I called him later. He blew up, and then he insisted I come back home, go back to where we lived. So the next day, my dad and I went to the ticket office and got my ticket switched to leave earlier. So my visit was cut short. I was able to have like a quick baby shower, but my visit was cut short because I had to go home early because he wanted me home. Met his family. We came back home after that. I think our daughter was 8 months old. Came home together and finally met his family, and holy hell, mom, alcoholic, had abused him when he was young. She even degraded him as an adult man. And I just remember one time I had had enough, and I defended him from his mom instead of taking care of myself and defending myself from him. So it just was just lots of warning signs after we got married. It's funny because when you're abused, people will say, well, why did you stay with someone who abused you? Why wouldn't you leave? Well, at the point, I wasn't working. I had a baby. I was embarrassed because the thing was when he came home, he met my family, and everyone in my family was really nice and really liked him. Especially my grandfather. My mom's dad, had been in the military, and of course, we were in the military, and they had both been cooks. My grandfather and my ex had been cooks, so they had this camaraderie. And there was just a shame about getting divorced in my family. It was like a family tradition. You just stay married no matter what, because it was a Catholic thing. And it was, you can't tell family and friends that you're being abused and called names, and you're in fear every single day. I just know it just doesn't work like that. It just people think if you're strong, you're a soldier, you're independent, or you have your own. Yeah, it seems like your head on your shoulders. People would say, well, why would you put up with that? Well, I put up with it because, like I said, because of my sexual trauma. I thought I was a piece of garbage, and I thought I deserved to be treated like that. And another thing is, abusers will never do so in front of family and friends or your children. Normally not. So when it's extreme, it's in front of your children, and your children are usually targets at that time too by the abuser. So all I know is I'm just reading off my notes. Every time you're abused by someone, you are put into a kennel, and you are locked in that kennel. And they go in the kennel, and you put your head down, and you go into a kennel. You can tell when a woman is abused. Normally, she's not you normally see a woman who's abused as someone who keeps her head down, someone who doesn't look happy or appear happy, someone who doesn't have a voice. A lot of her conversation will say, my husband this, my husband that, and this and that. She's lost her individuality because she's not allowed to have that. And she looks downtrodden. Like what I said before, our Luna, when we used to put her in the kennel, we'd say, Luna, go in the kennel. She'd put her head down and walk into the kennel. It's just real slow. It's just the way it is. I looked normal. Everything about me looked normal. I was I loved having my daughters. I loved being a mom. But I'll tell you, look, the one thing I'm going to tell you have to do is, now that we have, the internet, because back then I didn't have the internet, and God forbid I get out and go to therapy. There's no going to therapy. I went to Al-Anon, which saved my life. So if you can get to an Al-Anon group, go to Al-Anon. That's where you can first start talking. But because we have Facebook now, and what I did years ago, because we first got the internet. It was way back when. It was 1998, 1999. We got a house, and or 98, 90, so whatever the case was. As I was, my kids were at school. We got the internet, and I'd play spades on AOL, MSN, gaming, or whatever, and you could chat with people. And I started to say, my husband abuses me and this and that, and these people were like, you got to get out. And when I first started talking is when I first got help. I first got someone to care about me, which is the saving grace. I don't know who that person was. It was some other woman who liked playing spades on the internet. But it wasn't until I talked that I finally got some help. It was like I finally had the courage. Someone else through the internet gave me the courage to break free. I was working part-time. I wasn't making very much money, and when I decided to do it, I didn't really have a plan as to what I was going to do. I had no money. I didn't. We had good credit. We had a house, but we didn't have a lot of equity. The house wasn't, whatever. And I'll talk in another video about what I had to do financially, because a lot of people stay because financially they are unable to even, find enough money to rent an apartment. It's almost like you have to look for a way out, but you have to know someone, family, or whatever that you can move in with. I'll tell you later what I did, but I just want to talk about what it's like being in an abusive relationship. No one deserves to be in a kennel. No one deserves to be beaten down. Unfortunately, this world is like this. And there is no shortage of abusers and such out there. And all they are looking for is their next target. All they are looking for is one person that they can control, abuse, manipulate, beat, sexually assault because of how they feel about themselves. Had I taken the time to get to know my ex, especially because I was pregnant, had I taken the time to get to know him, his family, taken the time, I would not have chosen to marry him. And also, had I gotten help after my sexual assault, had I gotten therapy, had I really liked myself, had I had a voice, there's no way in hell that I would have ever signed up for that. So know if you have been abused throughout your life, had you been abused within your family, if your self-esteem is at an all-time low, if you feel like you are a piece of garbage or you are not worth it, know that you are worth it, but you need to go to therapy and you need to have a change. You need to change your belief about yourself and your worth in order to be with someone who values you. And that's all there is to it. Stop being put into a kennel. It's what it is. And so break free, talk, admit, don't hold on to a relationship if you're being abused. Don't be ashamed, because the only person that should be ashamed is the person that is the one doing the abusing. So that's all I wanted to talk about. There is hope, there is help, and I hope everyone has an opportunity to break free and get better. So that's all I want to talk about, and I hope this video helps you, and I hope it helps someone that you love and if they need help. So know that I survived, and you can survive too. So I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.